Are you a virtual tour photographer who struggles to find paid clients, constantly being asked for free or discounted shoots?
Hey guys, Jawless Paul here. So Canon recently released a webcam utility for their cameras to turn any Canon camera, well, I don't know about any Canon camera, into a webcam. So there's a list on their website of the different cameras that are supported by this. However, I was able to download the T6 web utility, and it works on my T5i. That's the Canon camera that I have, and that's the one that's working. T6 web utility, and it works on my T5i. That's the T6 web utility, and it works on my T5i. That's the Canon camera that I have, and that's the one that's working right now. On the right, obviously, is the Canon. On the left is, and it works on my T5i. I was able to download the T6 web utility supported by this. However, I was able to turn any Canon camera, well, I don't know about any Canon camera, into a webcam. So there's a list on their website of the different cameras that are supported by this. There's a list on their website of the different cameras that are supported by this. However, I was able to download the T6 web utility, and it works on my T5i. That's the Canon camera that I have, and that's the one that's working right now. On the right, obviously, is the Canon. On the left is my Logitech C920. And you can see there's a pretty distinctive difference in image quality. But the big thing that I'd say is the downside is I have it set to shutter speed 60 and 30 frames per second at 1080p. It is not 1080p. It is not 1080p, and it's certainly not 30 frames per second. There's obviously some stuttering, and that could just be due to the USB connection. That's how it's connected, is through USB 2. So perhaps it doesn't have enough transfer speed. I'm not really sure how that all works or what the deal is, but it works pretty well. I had to do a little bit of modification on my PC because I had another Canon utility, the one that lets you kind of use your camera remotely. I had to uninstall all of that before it would recognize my Canon camera with the new webcam beta utility. So keep that in mind. If you have that already installed, you may have to get rid of that. I should also note it's a T5i, and I'm using the 24mm pancake lens. This is the image that I got when I pulled it out, or when I put it into OBS. So you have to put it in a video capture device, and then you select the EOS Canon webcam utility. But you can see it's got a decent image. I did a little bit of color correction and just added up the contrast a little bit, but that's all I did to the image. It looks pretty good. It's got kind of a little bit of that nice blurry background, and it's auto focusing. I didn't set the focus for this, so it's doing a pretty good job, I'd say, for the most part. I don't know. How do I feel? Maybe I'll have to use this for an actual video, like a long video, and you guys can let me know if you think it looks better or worse. I think it definitely has a better image quality. Like the picture image is better, but the frame rate's lower. So I don't know, what would you prefer? Would you prefer better frame rate, or would you prefer better image? One nice thing about the Canon is that I don't have to I don't have to change the settings every time I open up my computer, even though I got the Logitech G Hub, which is supposed to work. It's supposed to set your, change your settings and keep them consistent, but it doesn't do it. It doesn't work for my C920 for some reason. I'm not sure why. But anyway, leave a comment below if you have a question about this. If you were curious about how to set this up, you can go to Epos Vox's video on the Canon webcam utility. It's a good video. He goes through how to install it.
What if I told you that you can use motion array to improve your videos fast? For example, you can create a professional opener just like this.
Are you looking to improve your live stream, video conference, class, webinar, video call quality, and you don't really have a great webcam, or you're looking at the prices of capture cards on the market and being appalled by them like I am, because holy balls. Well, do you also have a Canon camera? Like this is my 6D Mark II I've had for a while. Canon has just officially released a beta utility which allows you to use your Canon DSLR and a couple other cameras as a webcam, which they've never done before. Your move, webcam manufacturers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set it up and use it, as well as, some limitations it might have and things like that. Let's jump in. I'm Epos Vox, your stream professor, and today we're taking a look at Canon's EOS webcam utility for Windows beta. Now, it supports this list of cameras and nothing else officially, because you would download it on a per camera basis. So it doesn't have some of the older ones like a T5i or a 70D, but it does have a lot of the cameras, including the EOS R line, the 6D Mark II, which I have here, and even one of the PowerShot cameras I was interested in hearing. So you need a couple things to get started. You need your camera itself, which I have my 6D Mark II. You need a USB cable for your camera. You need to open up the little flap on the side and see which kind of USB cable you need. If you have a newer one like the EOS R or RP, you need a USB for the EOS webcam beta, and then you need to choose your camera from the list, be it the M50, M200, EOS R, a couple of the PowerShot cameras, or some of the Rebel or other EOS line. So for example, mine is the 6D Mark II. I'm going to click that, and then you go to the downloads page. You don't apply for an online survey. You find Canon EOS webcam beta for Windows, and go ahead and click download. It's going to give you a zip file. Go ahead and open that up in your favorite unzipping utility, or it'll just open in Windows by default. And then go ahead and double click on the EOS webcam utility installer. Next, I agree. Next. Go ahead and get rid of my browser windows here. Wait for this to install. You may need to approve UAC prompts or whatever for admin access. There you go, hit close. And now you must restart your computer in order to start using this. I know, it sucks. All right, the next step once you've restarted, there you go. Go ahead and next for unzipping EOS webcam beta for EOS webcam beta, and then you need to choose your camera from the list, be it the M50, M200, EOS R, a couple of the PowerShot cameras, or some of the Rebel or other EOS line. So for example, mine is the 6D Mark II. I'm going to click that, and then you go to the downloads page. You don't apply for an online survey. You find Canon EOS webcam beta for Windows, and go ahead and click download. It's going to give you a zip file. Go ahead and open that up in your favorite unzipping utility, or it'll just open in Windows by default. And then go ahead and double click on the EOS webcam utility installer. Next, I agree. Next. Go ahead and get rid of my browser windows here. Wait for this to install. You may need to approve UAC prompts or whatever for admin access. There you go, hit close. And now you must restart your computer in order to start using this. I know, it sucks. All right, the next step once you've restarted your... Again, if you're on a newer camera with USB Type-C, you do want to be using a USB 3.0 port on your computer. You'll see it pops up that it's detecting your camera and that it's installing it. You get a little notification for it. It is set up and ready. Now, if you want to add the Canon camera as your webcam for your desired streaming application, for example, I am using OBS Studio in this example, then go ahead and launch your software. Add a new video device. So in OBS, it'll be plus video capture device. I'm going to call this Canon 6D.
Camera. Let's get into it.
For the longest time, select a model, select the driver and tab, software tab, and then you should be able to see that EOS webcam utility beta. So these are all of the models, the Canon models that they officially support, but technically they actually support more than that. For example, I downloaded the T5i and that worked for me. So to get started, find your model in here or find the closest model to your camera and download the driver from there. So for me, I'm going to go to the T6i and I am going to say, hey, I want to download this guy. Once it's downloaded, you open it up and you literally just install it. Obviously I have it, so it's going to ask me to repair or remove. Once you plug, oh my gosh, hey, I want to download this guy, T5i, and that worked for me. So to get the Canon models that they officially support, but technically they actually support more than that. Model, select the driver and tab, software tab, and then you should be able to see that EOS webcam utility beta. So these are all of the models, the Canon models that they officially support, but technically they actually support more than that. For example, I downloaded T5i and that worked for me. So to get started, find your model in here or find the closest model to your camera and download the driver from there. So for me, I'm going to go to the T6i and I am going to say, hey, I want to download this guy. Once it's downloaded, you open it up and you literally just install it. Obviously I have it, so it's going to ask me to repair or remove. Once you plug, oh my gosh, so bad at this. Okay, once you plugged in your DSLR into your PC with USB to your camera, you want to come in here in OBS and select add under sources, and you want to go to video capture device. Once you've opened the properties for the camera, you want to go ahead and select it from the drop down and go turn on the camera. Here we go. All right, so now that we have the full camera coming in from the feed in here, let's take a quick look at the settings. You have custom. Custom doesn't really let you play with the resolution as much, especially with my camera. Right now it's saying it's 576, but I know it's 720. Obviously you can set the settings from your camera, but it's not going to actually do much to the feed that's coming in. The FPS, you can change that, but I would keep it at the highest, match the output FPS because it's the fastest and it's going to give you the best feed. Video format, keep it at any, doesn't really matter. Under color space, I would keep it on default. Under color range, I would keep it at default. These are all the options that you have under properties for camera. Buffering, auto detect. I wouldn't personally use the audio from the camera just because I have a mic that is sitting in front of me when I'm talking on video calls and when I'm streaming. But you can see that the camera came in with this black border. The camera thinks that it's outputting 1080, but in fact it's just outputting 720. So this black is just extra pixels that it thought that it's going to be outputting. But you can get rid of that really easily in a filter, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Okay, as we can see that the DSLR is having some issues getting rid of that black border, but we can fix that with a quick filter. If we go to filters right here, I added a crop filter, which is basically going to take 160 pixels from left and right and 40 from top and bottom. That's the number I found for my camera, and you can adjust that based on your DSLR. But once we put that filter on, you can see it only gets the feed that we want. Okay, so here's the two cameras next to each other. The C922, the webcam, is a little faster when it comes to frames, and that's just because it's plugged into USB 3, and this camera only supports USB 2 because it's USB mini to USB 2. You can see that the DSLR has way higher color depth, and it has way more depth to the actual picture itself. You can see the focus level. You're able to zoom in much easier with the lens that you have, and based on the lens you can get really good image. I personally would choose this DSLR over the webcam just because it looks better, especially at when the camera is on the sides and it's not full screen, right? You can see you won't notice the lower resolution. You won't notice the stuttering as much as you would if it was in full screen. If I was using the camera in full screen, I would totally go with the C922, get some better coloring, better lighting. But overall, it's a pretty good software. Remember, it's still in beta. With the new releases, it should get better and should get faster. So let me know in the bottom with your comments, with your thoughts, if you have a DSLR and if you tried to use this guide.
Thank you for watching so much the video. I hope it was helpful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Would love for you to follow the channel and see all the reviews and the tech talks that we'll be doing. And again, thank you for watching Coffee and Tech, and you have a good one. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Coffee and Tech. Today we'll be reviewing this dog.
Practice your poker face, your craps throw, and your roulette victory dance. Choctaw Casinos and Resorts have all your favorite table games. Whether you're a pro or a first-timer, it's game on every day at Choctaw. We'll see you at the tables.
We've talked about connecting your camera to your computer with the $100 Elgato Cam Link and the $300 Blackmagic ATEM Mini. But what if you could connect your camera to your computer for free using just the USB cable that came with it? Well, US better believe that's what we're talking about today. This video is going to focus on the Canon EOS webcam utility, but it's important to note that other manufacturers like Sony, Nikon, and I think maybe even Panasonic have also released similar applications. So what I'm going to do is collect all of the ones I can find and put the links to them in the description. So if you're not using a Canon camera, you can still find the resources that you need. So we'll start off by covering the installation process, and then after that I'll dive into what is so great about this and the scenarios where you still might want to stick with a more traditional capture card. Oh, and do you know what spiders use for streaming? Webcams. Now, as I said, there's a direct link in the description, but you can find this just by simply Googling Canon webcam utility, and it'll pop up as like the first option. So once you select your operating system, you just scroll down to where it says select your model. And you can see right on the website which applications the webcam utility is compatible with. And there's also the list of camera models right here, both EOS cameras and PowerShots. So this is quite an extensive list, and truthfully, I don't think it really matters which camera you select. So if you have multiple Canon cameras that you want to use with this, you don't need to reinstall it separately for each model. I don't really know exactly why they have you select this, but they do. So I'm just going to pick the EOS R because that's my main camera. One thing to be aware of though, if your camera's not on this list, go ahead and give it a try anyway, because the worst thing that will happen is nothing. And the best thing that could happen is it's actually possible to use your camera that's not supported officially as a webcam, which is kind of amazing. Now right now I'm running Big Sur on my Mac, and apparently it says there's no software for that version, but if I go to Catalina, then it pops up. Once you see the list of software, you just select EOS webcam utility, select it. You do need to enter in your info, and then I can just click the download button, which will download a zip file. Once it's downloaded, you just open up the installation package and it will run you through the installation process. You will need to restart your computer before it kicks in. Once it's installed, it will just show up as a source. So right here, I've got eCam open and you can see EOS webcam utility. I don't have a camera connected. It is important to make sure you're running the most recent version of whatever software you're using. For example, in my case, it wasn't working with Zoom until I updated Zoom to a more recent version.